All right. Hi, everybody. It's Nadine. I'm back again for my last session for today. And if you're able to join us, type in your name and what you teach and where you're located. I'm so excited because I got Susan Stewart today. Susan Stewart, I have always been a big fan of hers. I actually got to meet her, gosh, I think it was a couple of years ago that we met face to face at ISTE. But she's always been a big fan of mine. And the reason why is because she's very passionate about creating items for littles and coming up with really awesome ways to use Google tools. I asked her if she would do her little intro to Jamboard session today with us because she had so many cool ideas with it. And I know that my teachers and others can definitely benefit from. Susan, if you want to give a little bit more of a background about you, you may go ahead.
Absolutely. So hello, my name is Susan Stewart. I am an instructional technology teacher on special assignment. Say that 5 times fast.
Yeah.
I just call myself a tech coach, and I am in Fresno, California. I work in a small rural farming community just outside of Fresno, and there I have the pleasure of serving 120 teachers in the role of a technology coach. Additionally, I'm a mom of 3, and I'm just a big nerd when it comes to all things Google. But because I spent 14 years in kindergarten and second grade prior to being a technology coach, my passion when it comes to technology really is focused on the young learners. I do support teachers K-12, and I really do my heart is in kindergarten, right? That's the land of sunshine and rainbows. It is a special breed. We are the kindergarten teachers.
Right.
And then today, I have to tell a story because this thing called Jamboard we're about to talk of, I honestly had not touched before about 6 weeks ago myself. My teachers found themselves with a need. Here we are in distance learning, and we're doing remote learning things. And I would go into classrooms, and I'd see teachers like, "Okay, guys, can you see this? Everyone can." Right? Is that kind of what you see in the classrooms right now?
Right.
So I wanted to find a way where teachers could interact or maybe show or even just write. So it started as this, like, how can we meet a need? And it has blown up to be one of our favorite tools that have come out of these, unfortunate and unforeseen and unprecedented circumstances. So yeah, Jamboard.
Yay.
Ready?
Yay. I love Jamboard.
Okay. So for those of you who are new to the Googliness, Jamboard is part of your Google Suite. Google Suite being that overarching term that talks about docs and classroom and all the Google things. Jamboard's one of those. It's not an extra tool or an extra login. That's my favorite part, is because it's attached to your Google Suite. It works alongside that. It works in Classroom. That means you can distribute it. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. It also saves in your Google Drive. So all the things you love about the Google tools, that one-stop shop, everything connected, Jamboard plays along well. I love not making kids sign into one more thing.
Yes.
Additionally, Jamboard is simple. What you see is what you get. So let's just take a couple little adventures into Jamboard. I've got a number of examples, and then we might play a little as we go too.
Nice.
So I'm going to turn here, and it's my introduction, and I'm going to have a quick little just online pedagogy vocabulary. I'm not sure if you use this with your teachers, Nadine, but the idea that online teaching we know can be synchronous or asynchronous. For us, we use synchronous, we use Google Meet, although there's Zoom and Teams and all the different things. And synchronous, of course, is teaching that you do at the same time, right? It's when we're doing it together. We can use Jamboard in that synchronous setting, and we're going to look at some examples of that. But just know that Jamboard also works in an asynchronous way. Paired with Google Classroom, I can post one of these and use that little magic button of Google Classroom that allows me to make a copy for every student, and it collects just the way other things do in Google Classroom. So know that this is a good tool for synchronous online teaching, but it's also great for asynchronous activities as well.
Nice.
So at a base level, in a minute, I'm going to have you add a sticky note here. However, I'm going to model first. So when I get to a Jamboard, you see it's a pretty simple interface. There's a very limited number of tools. On the left-hand side, there is that toolbar. And over on the left-hand side, I see there's a pen, an eraser, really basic tools. For this activity, I'm going to go grab a sticky note myself. And when I get there, I'm going to add my name. And this button, this dialog box comes up. And I'm going to type my name. Type it right. And then I can change the color of my sticky if I'd like. I can also make it transparent. That'll come in handy a little bit later. So I can do that. I'm a big fan of emoji while I'm at it. So I use my emoji keyboard. That's right a part of my MacBook, but every device has its own version, right, of the emoji. But I'm going to go ahead and save that because of something we'll see soon. So far I've created my sticky, and I'm going to click and drag that sticky over to the side where I want to cast my vote. So for my friends who are playing along, like Nadine and my friend Anthony's in there live right now too, do you guys want to try first? Click on the sticky note over on the left-hand side, add your name, then maybe try an emoji just for funsies, and then you could cast your vote. So on a base level, again, we're working in a collaborative space. And at this point, teachers often ask, what if they delete the pictures? Can you lock them down? That's a very common request at this point.
Yes.
People wonder, how do you keep them? And the truth is, it is such a simple, streamlined tool that we can't, at this point, do things like lock things down. If you want to be able to do that, we'll want to keep that in Google Slides because you have more controls there. We have more options there. This is so lightweight, so portable. But what I love about it is there aren't a lot of buttons to push, especially if we're talking about young ones. Not having a lot of buttons is kind of a good thing, right? So we can get people from all over the place. Here I am in California, and there you are in Indiana, and you're able to add your sticky to the Jamboard as well. So kind of fun, quick little way. There you go. And then you can just drag it over. Pretty simple little activity. Baseline. So now people say, but wait, what if my kids are young and typing their name might even be a challenge? I'm going to turn to the next frame. Thing to know about Jamboard is that they're not pages, they're frames, and I see they're listed across the top. If we're accustomed to Google Slides, we know that we have that list along the left-hand side. Well, my frames are on the top. And I can see there, notice how both Nadine and Anthony just hopped over to frame 4. And because I'm connected to those people, I can actually see their little avatars. I see who is involved. Let me zoom in on that so you can get a closer look.
I like that. Yeah, I didn't realize that you could see.
So if you're working anonymously with folks, like if you shared it with a link, that doesn't happen. But when you're working with your own students, you can see. And I'm like, hey, guys, come on back over to frame 3, whatever, I want to do. Or I'd be like, hey, Anthony, what are you doing on frame 7? So I can, call them out, even in this live situation. So I'm going to go ahead and jump over to the next frame as well, because this is the same activity, but it's scaffolded for our really little ones. Perhaps I have super young kids, and that act of having to type in their name might take more time than necessary. We still want to be able to do this. So people could grab their name, slide it over quickly, and cast their vote. Again, just a scaffold for our young learners. I might have this pre-populated with their names so they could still participate without the extra need to type in the name. So just a fun little basic level. And when I'm first introducing this to kids, I always keep something really simple, something with a really low cognitive load, right? We're not going to go in and learn this tool with fractions to start. We're going to start with something simple they can connect to so there isn't the stress of the content. But this is still, a great way. And it could be, instead of dog or cat, it could be, how are you feeling? Happy face, sad face. We can build in some of those SEL checks if we'd like as well. Lots of potential there. Nice. But, we do want to get a little academic. So I'm going to switch to slide frame 5. Here I am using my own vocabulary. Over in frame 5, we can start to see some potential here for, what is this? That blank canvas. Remember I was talking about the teachers who were trying to do some modeling? And again, I could write anything. I could write a nice complete sentence. Now I can also pair this to a secondary device. I can do this right on here. I can grab a pen. I have a variety of pen tools. I can change the size and weight, and I can just say hi, which is a pretty common thing when you're doing an activity like this. And that was with my mouse. But if I have a touchscreen device, or for me, I'm actually connected on my iPad as well, but I can also get the app on my phone. On an iDevice, on a mobile device, there is a separate download, like it's an app. But so here I could do something like practicing letter formation. If you teach the young grades, you know that I could show a B, but there's a difference between showing a B and showing a B being drawn, right? The actual letter formation steps are huge, but I can also write on here. So if you don't mind, I'm going to have my friend Anthony and you, we just grab a pen and take a quick scribble on this page just for funsies. Grab different colors, try different widths, but go ahead and just really quick that we can have lots of people collaborating in one space. And of course, when the little ones, I would say, let's just have some fun at first too, because I mean, why not? Let's see what the buttons do. Push all the buttons, see what happens. As my friend says, poke a stick at it. What happens? There we go. So there we go. We can all write collaboratively as well. Again, we're still not getting too academic, but I promise we'll get there.
Right. I like how you said, I mean, they've got to learn how to use the tools.
And sometimes that could be just a big scribble party. Like sometimes the very first time, let's create a work of art right now. Everybody, 3, 2, 1, scribble. Ah! And they all start writing all over it just for fun, right?
Nice.
And then we create this lovely work of art. So let's continue on, because now it's time to be serious, right? Let's talk about phonics. I have these letter tiles, and I created them just by, those are all individual stickies. You notice that the letter is much larger here, and that's because it's the only one on the page. The font gets smaller based on the number of letters on the sticky. So these are nice and big ones. So I'll use my arrow tool, and that's one thing that people will do. Sometimes they'll go to move this and make a line. Oh, what happened there? Oh, I was on the pen. It's a common thing, right? So I'll just undo it, and I grab here, and I'm going to go ahead and spell my first word, and I'm going to slide the arrow, the tiles there. And I can even use the pointer here, and I could say, let's sound this out. D-I-G. What's the whole word? Dig, right? And then I can even call on a friend. I could say, hey, Nadine, will you do the next word for us, please? And there, I would ask you to sound out a word for me. Pretty fun, basic. And you can tell I did help a little. Again, one of those scaffolds, I use color to do that, but we don't have to do it that way. But what a fun way to just work on the phonics. And again, it could be all modeling, where I do it as the teacher and the students are watching, but I'm still doing those those individual phonemes, doing it as parts. Or I could even have you participate. Here we are, different parts of the country, and we're able to collaborate on this. So when you're talking about
what I really like about this is the way to be able to get that individualized instruction. I have 2 of my own children that are dyslexic. And so when they're doing like remote intervention sessions, this is where I saw the capabilities of Jamboard. When I saw you post this, I was like, oh my gosh, this is a big game changer.
Absolutely. It's so cool.
Now you've had someone ask in the comments for suggestions with secondary classrooms.
I'll get there for sure. Absolutely. Okay. These are we're getting started, but I promise I've got some great samples for you. We are on page 6. I'll get some more, but because that is definitely, this isn't just for little ones. This is for anybody. Sure. Absolutely. So let's keep going. Let's move on to, again, how do I make this? And I'm going to keep it with the young one just for the model, but you can see that what's on the page right now, or on the frame right now, is just a sticky, and it's transparent. That means it has no color in the background. But if I wanted to do something like the same activity we just did for IG, and I want to do it for @ I start by adding a picture, and you see that there's a on my toolbar there, I can just hit add image, and it brings up a very familiar, like, we know this window, right? We use this window all the time. So I'm going to do the Google image search, and I'm going to choose cat. Now I try to add something like PNG or clip art in my search terms. For me, when I do that, that just guarantees that my results are going to be something more along the lines of what I'm looking for. PNG means it's going to be transparent. It's not going to have a background. But of course, I get a search, and I've got a favorite. I'll use this kitty, and I can go ahead and put that in. Images, much like anything in Google, I resize by the corner, right? I can rotate it. I can move it around. I can also duplicate things, and I want to demo that. On my upper right-hand corner here, you see there's 3 dots, and we know the magic of 3 dots. Dot, dot, dot. I could duplicate this if I wanted to make multiple kitties, but in this example, I won't. And then, of course, then I would just start adding my letter tiles. Really basic, sticky, C, A, T. And as I mentioned with the color change, I'm going to go ahead and shift colors for the next word, H, A, T. Super basic to start. We'll get some fun stuff as we go. But then I have I've just created in just a few seconds there an interactive phonics activity that we could use either synchronously or, remember, asynchronously if I post it to my Google Classroom so that everyone gets their own copy. Really, really basic there. Let's continue on, though, because I know you guys have some questions. More phonics. This activity could take us a little bit further. It says, so I posted a photo, and it says, what do you see? Use a pen or the sticky note to describe this picture. And, here in California, we have a high population of language learners. So this would be a great language development activity, because some kids might just say they are playing soccer. Or I could model and, expect, the children are chasing the soccer ball across the grassy field on a sunny day, right? How do we build those rich sentences? So we could have them do this collaboratively, where everybody types their own little sticky and adds their sentence. But then when they start seeing each other's sentences, because it's collaborative, it helps them kick it up a notch. We know that they are playing soccer is a simple sentence. How do we make it a more rich and elaborate sentence? So,
Nice.
And I think that activity starts carrying up into the older kids. Maybe we put some kind of provocation, interesting photo, and we want kids to just share their thoughts. That would be an activity that could be for anyone, especially if it is like one of those interesting, thought-provoking kinds of photos. So there we go. Let's continue on. And this is one of the popular ones. And again, this one is also could be for anyone. I have a grade 2, a second grade text here, but I could have some kind of purposeful read. This was a screenshot of text from our curriculum, but you could use any piece of text here. And it says, use a highlighter tool to mark the nouns, people, places, things. So I would go grab my highlighter. I would go make sure that I am on highlighter because I want it to work right. And so I could just go through and highlight at a simple level. And then, again, if I want to go further, whatever purpose for reading we have here, I have underlined circle. Am I looking for a certain word? Am I looking for interesting vocabulary? For whatever purpose I'm reading, I can mark up my text that way. Again, knowing that this is one I could do as a model with kids synchronously, like we are right now. I could say, hey, Nadine, will you please go and mark up, find a quotation in there? Will you go ahead and mark, I could do it that way. Or I could say, okay, I'm going to do one, and now I'm going to push this out in Google Classroom so you all get your own copy. And you can do it independently. And so then I can review their work, of course, just like I could anything else in Google Classroom.
Yeah. And I hadn't really thought about, how to, with pushing it out to Google Classroom and giving each kid their own copy. I really love that aspect too.
Absolutely. I mean, that to me, like it went from being cool to being amazing.
Yeah.
When I know that I can do even the same exact activity. Maybe I do 2 or 3 models with the kids. Okay, here you go. Even with my modeling on there, if they get the master with my modeling, and then they get to go continue
from there.
They have that.
Awesome.
Very, 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 very cool. So continuing on, simple. I mean, we get the idea here. I have numbers. I can sort in order. That's base level. Count by 5s, count by 10s, whatever it is. But wait, there's more. Okay. Here I have a number line. And maybe we're learning fractions, and we want to talk about the value of fractions and where they relate between 0 and 1. So here I could have someone, if they wanted, I could have Nadine or Anthony come on in and start sorting those out based on value. I'm going to start testing your percentages and fraction, and we start talking about where on the number line approximately would that go if you grabbed one. There's some real simple ones like 1/2. Yep, got that one. Woo! Awesome. And we can continue on in a way where we would say, 9/10. About where might that go? About what position would that set in? So 2/8. I see Anthony has 2/8 there. He would probably go ahead and put that, would that be closer to the 0? Would it be closer to the 1/2? Where are they in relation to the other things? So knowing that I can really start to visualize things like fractions on a number line is an important skill. And then also continuing on with the same thing with the decimals there. Great, starting to move up the math a little bit, and then comparing fractions to decimals is a great one there too.
Cool.
So awesome little, moving it up some. But here I have just a blank canvas. And this, again, could be for anyone. At this point, I have a blank canvas, and I want to do some mathing, right? Mathing, you like my verb there?
Yeah.
I can, let me get myself over to my iPad. Again, this is one where I could start writing right on my device, and we know that can be a challenge. I have a really awesome ViewSonic touch screen monitor, and I can also use my iPad. And I love the iPad element here because I'm not connected to this in any way except through the sharing of Google. And I love using a stylus over my finger because it does just make for cleaner. So now I could do a math problem where I could do, 64 plus 87. And then maybe I want to do some fancy math, where I'm going to start breaking this into tens. And how nice is it that I'm able to do this math modeling right here?
Yes.
Like this, so clean, so clear. And this is with an iPad, but I could do the exact same thing on my touchscreen phone, right?
Right.
I can do it right there. The difference, I'll tell you, we've become kind of stylus snobs because I love the ones that have a mesh tip over a rubber tip because there's no resistance. It just slides across the screen like so nice. Such a little thing, but we're learning this stuff. Anything to be able to model. So how clear is that for you? You could do the math again. This particular, and I know a lot of teachers are doing the best they can with the tools they have. And I see so many like whiteboards behind teachers, but how big and clear and obvious is this? So just a little bit more fun we could have there. You know, going back down, we could do patterns. I want to build an array. And so I have this here. Remember we talked about duplicating an image earlier.
Right.
So what this is actually an emoji. It is the star emoji. So, and then I put it on a transparent sticky. So instead of being separate little images, these are all those emojis and I could use them there. And so we could have someone go in and build an array to represent whatever it is we're trying to do. So it's kind of like these drag and drop manipulatives that we could use to do this. So whatever the math modeling that we want to do, we can see there's lots of opportunities for math modeling, regardless of the age level. You provide the tools and we put that there. My friend Chris Webb from Canada does a great job using, he has a transparent ruler and a protractor.
Ooh.
And the fact that he could lay that on top of there and start measuring that. So he's
got
a transparent protractor, can put it on top of shapes and I mean, so much possibility there. I love WODB, you know, which one doesn't belong.
Right.
We're able to do this. This is not interactive. This is a screenshot of one that we've done. But the way this worked, of course, is I put in the photo from which one doesn't belong. And we, you know, started the conversation. What do you think? Well, they could cast their vote by dragging their little check mark over. And the check mark, again, is one of those transparent emojis. But then more importantly, tell me why. You know, what's your why? Construct a viable argument, right? So we start getting like super mathy there. And this is also good for any age. I could put a WODB that has to do with, if you're not familiar with that website, WODB stands for which one doesn't belong, and it's WODB.ca. And that resource has pre-made which one doesn't belong activities that you can just right-click, copy, paste right into your Jamboard, and it's ready to go. And they have examples from, you know, pre-K all the way up to like crazy math that I don't even know, but I'm sure, you know, like rays and graphs and plop, but oh man, it's more math than I remember, but it is like for anyone. So any WODB would fit here because what it really is I can plop it in there. I've also seen some where the secondary teachers will put in a photo of a character. And so we're working on character traits or character motivations. Whatever they put in there, the students can then write about.
Right.
You know, taking it back to basics, we've got some base 10 blocks and we can build the number. Then we could also ask the kids to label the number. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much what I have there, but I would love to take some additional questions there. One thing to know, I learned Jamboard just by pushing buttons, but at the Google Teacher Center, they have this page called Your First Day of Jamboard. And I'm sure we can round up that link and get it in the chat. I'll work on that.
Okay.
But the Google Teacher Center walks you step by step through everything we just did, how to add an image, how to do things. A couple things that people ask oftentimes, can you embed videos? Nope. Can you embed audio? Nope. Remember, it's very simple. Can you change the font? Nope. There are a lot of limitations that sometimes frustrate teachers. And again, if you want those features, I'd say go back to slides, because in slides you are in control and you are the master.
That's true.
And this is so much less clunky when it comes to the collaboration and the interaction. So for some activities, slides is going to be the right choice. But for some activities, this is a nice lightweight thing. Some notes would be that on the mobile app, there's some additional features. There's an AI pen. So if you draw something, let me see if I can get to a blank one and model that. Let me find an empty space. Oh, I'll just do it right in the middle here. So I can turn on my AI pen. So what I'm doing is I'm interacting through my iPad. But I'm going to go ahead and draw a picture. But I'm going to turn on my AI pen. And hopefully it'll work. Let me see if I can do a house here. So if you're familiar with the Google AI, you see how I drew my house.
Right.
And at the bottom, I'm going to get some suggestions. So I'm going to select one of them, and it actually turns it into So it's kind of like the quick draw. Have you seen quick draw before?
Yeah. Yeah,
So-
and auto draw. So I didn't realize that it did that only in the mobile app.
Yeah, so I can do some additional things there. In my mobile app, I can also pull in Drive content. So in my mobile app, I can go find like a resource. Let me see if I can find something. Just grab something from the front of this here. I can pull in what happens to be here is some Google Slides. So let's just say I can go grab a set of Google Slides, and I just grab the first thing in my drive. But you see there that it is now in there. And this is a set of Google Slides that I can now open and interact with.
Oh, so you can put a link to the Google Slides inside of Jamboard, but only through the mobile app.
Yeah. So just a little bit of like if you create something there, it's just good to know that you can have that integration too. That's another one of the features. So the AI pen, being able to a live camera. So on my mobile app, let me go ahead and do a quick. I got to do the selfie. So let me just take a quick little. Hold on. I'm gonna do this right. Oh, it's such a horrible face, but I'm gonna go ahead and use it. So then my photo goes in, but so you don't have the live camera on the right there. So now I totally have selfie face.
Nice.
But you can do live photos. So if you talk about students, if they're on iPads or they have a mobile device, they can add content live with their camera. Maybe that's taking a photo of some work they've done or a worksheet they have, and then they have the annotation features right there as well.
Cool.
So,
do you want to talk about the security with it? Like keeping it within, like your, right, public link versus private.
Absolutely. So how were we able to interact with it? When we talk about sharing settings, and I'm going to go back real quick. Sorry if you're seasick. Let me go back to here. Here we go back to this one. How was it that Anthony and Edine and I were able to engage in this in a way that we were all editors? So if you're familiar with all of the Googliness and sharing settings, in this example, I hit the share button and I directly shared with them. So one way to share is directly. So if you have a Google Classroom group, that works, but I get in and I'm going to hit done because I don't want to show off people's email addresses, but I can direct share. That's one thing I can do is do a direct share. Now, if I'm doing to a class live in a Google Meet or a Zoom, I would also share with link. So when I hit share, one of my choices there is get a link, and see how I have get link. And then I'm going to zoom this in so you can see. By default, it says it's restricted, right? Only the people that I have offered it to. That means I shared it directly to their email address. But I can choose this drop-down menu and say that anyone with the link can participate. So now, right now, I have it set to anyone with the link. And this is a brand new setting. If you guys haven't seen this new sharing permissions, like it's all changed. It's talk about muscle memory freaking out. Like, wait,
I know.
But right now, it still says that anyone with the link is a viewer. So if you had this link, you'd be able to see it. But I also want to make sure that my students in that live setting can also be editors. That's how I could grab a Jamboard and just plop the link down, and then everyone who is involved could right there have whoever has access to the link can do that. Now, in a live setting like this, like I chose to direct share to people because I don't know who's watching it. And I also know there'll be plenty of people who'll be watching asynchronously later. Like we have a handful of you here who are watching live. And if we were in a closed setting, I would probably have offered that link right in the chat so people could participate. But so in my small group settings, if I'm in with my whole class, if I'm a small group, if I'm in a Google Meet or whatever communication tool, I just drop that link to them there. Word of advice. When you're done with your Jamboard, make sure you set it back to anyone with a link can view instead of edit, because we do find that kids find themselves and they're just writing whatever. Now, when we're live, I'm able to see who's writing what. But if I forget to change the sharing settings back, that's a thing. I can also use Google Classroom to share it like that. Remember in the buttons in Google Classroom, we have that when I go to make an assignment, anyone can view the file. Students can edit the file or make a copy for each student. That middle option, we don't have a lot of use for, unless we're going to be collaborating on something. If we're going to be collaborating on one document, if it's a set of shared slides or whatever, that's one of the few reasons why I would ever choose students can edit this file. So in the Google Classroom settings, They could view, edit, or make a copy for everyone. Well, this would be a circumstance where I could set it in Classroom and say anyone with a link can edit, but I would still want to make sure that I go back and take away those editing rights so we don't have kids doing silly things when we're not there.
Does it have like a revision history or anything like that? It does not. Okay. Just so I know.
Yeah, it's quite simple, which is lovely, especially with young ones, and there are limitations. And I don't know if some of that is by design because it is so nice and easy and portable. You don't want a lot of things to weigh it down.
Right.
And there are some security features that I start to wonder about when it comes to, could I lock the background in so they can't delete it? One hack that my friends have come up with, and this is going to take you back a few years, like before we knew about the master slide, how would you lock something down? Well, I take a screenshot. I design most of it, take a screenshot, put it as the background image that they could still delete, but at least it was there, right? So just some of those little hacks that people would come through is they might delete this. Let me go ahead and delete you. Not that I'm actually deleting you. I don't mean to delete anyone.
No.
But let's say I took this here, and this is 3 separate pieces right here, which means all of them can be dragged and dropped and moved. So if I went through and did whatever tool I'm using, I could take my screenshot, right? Mm-hmm. And then I could grab that photo and put it down. It becomes almost like a background placemat of sorts.
Right.
And it can still be deleted. So that's a limitation here. But when you're talking about young ones and trying to keep them from getting their hands all over it, this is definitely a possibility.
No, it just makes me think of, when I have teachers that want to do, like with a document camera or something like that, this is a tool that's really going to help them if they're working with students, even if it's not one-on-one, if it is a larger amount of students. I think this is a great option. And like you've said too, it's one that's overlooked. People forget about it. And, I too, I've known about Jamboard forever, but I just haven't quite figured out how I could make the best use of it. So that was a huge help.
So where do I get Jamboard? Again, it's been there. When I go to my app launcher, right, the Google Waffle, and I scroll, look, it's there. It's there in your app launcher. So one place is to get it is from your app launcher. You can also just go to jamboard.google.com. That's where I often go. I'll go to jamboard.google.com, and it brings up all my jams, and you're going to see a lot of scribbliness, but here's all these different jams. The most important thing for you right now is to know that in that bottom corner, that's how I create my new jam, but it's almost like my little folder here. But even more, over in your Google Drive, let me go to Drive. I could go New, and I go More, and all the best Google tools are over here anyway, right?
Right.
All the best Google tools. Look, what's right there? Hey, look, it's right there. So they do save in your drive, just like most other googly things. So awesome. You had it. We just didn't know what to do with it. Like you said, what is this thing? And absolutely awesomeness for collaborative, synchronous, and asynchronous learning. So
awesome. Thank you so much for doing this today. This really, really helped. I know it helped to kind of broaden my horizons for, just seeing you interact with it, because like I said, I'd seen on Twitter where you have these examples, but I think to have you walk through it makes even a lot more sense to me. And it's got my brain going for things that I can help our teachers with as well.
Very, 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 very cool. Anything that's engaging. When I go into classrooms now, if I go into classrooms, I jump into their scheduled meetings, and, the kids, it's just one other tool in your tool belt, another thing to get them excited and engaged and feel like they're a part of the learning, keep them connected. One more thing is always good, even though teachers like, no, not one more thing, but just kind of like.
Yes, but if it's going to make your life easier, this is definitely a tool that I know that they're going to be interested in. Yeah. Well, as our district starts to roll out using Jamboard more, I'll make sure that we tag you on Twitter so you can see some of the stuff that they create. I know my teachers, I've got definitely some teachers that are going to look at this and go, ooh, now I'm going to make this and do this with my class. So,
and teachers are so innovative, and they're finding so many great ways to do things in Jamboard, just the math stuff alone. I have a blog at primarily google.rocks where I have a whole write-up and kind of list of everything we just went through.
Okay.
And what I'll do right now in the live chat, but I can also You know what I'll go ahead and do is I'll email you maybe
Mhm.
a cleaned up version of this. Like I'll erase all of our annotations, and then people could have a forced copy link of this one right here. So you could do
Good.
forced copy, and then at least it's a starting place. Sometimes you just need
Yeah.
to get your hands on it. But I mean,
Yeah,
I can
we had someone ask if there was a doc, and I said no. I said we just have the demo of the Jamboard. So if you can give us a version that they can play around with.
So I'll do that right now in the live comments. Actually, I'm going to do the good old fashioned. Oh, I
Yeah.
think, you know what, in StreamYard, and maybe you can help me. You could teach me something. When I go to private chat, I absolutely can have success with posting there. But is there a thing about when you're the guest that you can't post?
Yeah. Yeah, I
Okay.
think it's, yeah, because now that I've done both, I've been a guest in somebody's and it won't let you. It's like that person has to have it in there.
So
But
what
I'm moving it over right now.
So what she's going to do is what you have there is the one that we were playing with, and then you can make a copy of that. It'll prompt you to make a copy, and then at least you have a little bit. You can get your own hands on it and tinker a little bit. Again, there's some of our scribbling and writing in there, but at least it's a starting place to see some of those examples we just shared and have some fun with it.
Oh, awesome. Thank you so much, Susan. I owe you big time. I've loved being able to offer these on Mondays. I always try to do that district PD for my teachers. And I feel like that, I'll say, oh, I got to see Susan or I got to see someone else. And I'm like, now I feel like I give them a little glimpse of the awesomeness that you're able to do. So Thank you so much.
For sure. All right.
All right, folks, thanks very much. I'm going to go ahead and end the broadcast. And if you're doing the replay, and if you're in our district, we're also offering PGP points anytime that you attend any PD session. Thanks so much.